back for this Monday slate. We have a 10-game slate tonight, looking like another fun slate for us, so let's get right into it. As always, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you've not already. So every year of MLB at around this time, a little earlier, like in the beginning of August, usually I like to focus on bats now with the pitchers. At this point, their arms get a little bit tired. The weather is just prime for hitting, and last week was just a perfect example of how many of the stud pitchers we saw get rocked. Pitchers in great spots get rocked, like Verlander got rocked, Paxton had a very bad game, and then Tanaka had a bad game. Evaldi had a bad game against the Orioles, so the pitchers can sometimes be a crapshoot, even at the top. So in August, I really like to focus on bats because bats are what will win you the big money. You can usually find a pitcher, a cheap pitcher that gets you 25 to 30. You can find a couple of those a night. Given how big the slate is, and tonight I feel like I want to pay down on pitching again, I usually always like to pay down on pitching because the upside of bats is so much more than the upside of pitchers, unless Chris Sale's on the slate and he's going to strike out everyone. But on this slate, I like Ronaldo Lopez at 6,300. He's looked good the last couple games. He's a little volatile, but this matchup just does not scare me. The Tigers are the worst team in the league against right-handed pitching. They have the lowest batting average against righties, only 231. Second in slugging percentage, the Padres beat them by .01 points. So we all know that Tigers are really bad against righties. Only have one guy in their entire lineup that has an ISO over 200 against righties. And Lopez, we flashed some of the upside that he had against the Yankees in his last start, where he had a no-hitter, I think, through 5, maybe 6. And he's a decent pitcher. He does have upside in the 20s, but he can also kill you. So hopefully his stuff is on and he has a good game here. But in 3 games against the Tigers this year, his ERA is only 2.25. He's only given up averaging 14 DraftKings points in those 3 games, and he also did not get the win in any of those 3. So if he can get the win in this start, have a similar line, he should be able to get us 18 to 20. So I like him at 6,300 quite a bit today. And then second pitcher, I'm going to go with another guy making his debut, and that's Sean Reed-Foley. Worked out with Knicks the other day, did not work out with Holmes as he got absolutely crushed. But Reed-Foley is just a great matchup. Going up against the Royals is just a perfect matchup. They score very little runs. The strikeout rate has been going up throughout this year as they traded away some of their guys. And Reed-Foley has been very good in the minor leagues. Whenever a minor league pitcher comes up, I really like to look at a couple things. I like to look at the ERA. ERA checks out at 2.98. And I like to look at the strikeout per 9 innings because that could kind of give an indication of how they will. I mean, if they are a very good strikeout pitcher, more than likely they'll be a decent strikeout pitcher in the majors. But if they cannot strike anybody out in the minors, then they're probably going to have a hard time in the major leagues where the bats are just so much more better. But he has a very great strikeout rate, 146 strikeouts in 126 innings. Doesn't give up many hits in that span. Also, his walk rate is not terrible. And in this matchup against the Royals in Kansas City, which is a good pitcher's ballpark at 4,300, 4,400 allows us to spend up on all the Arizona bats. The Indians against Homer Bailey, sign me up for that. I'm all about paying down for pitching and paying up for bats. Second base, I got to go with the lefty killer himself, Jed Jerko at 4,100. Jerko's numbers against left-handed pitching over the past couple years have been pretty mind-boggling as a guy who's overall is not a great hitter, but you should just play every day against lefties because he's been killing it. This year against lefties, he has a higher walk rate. Strikeout rate is way down at only 13.6%. He has a 3.29 average against lefties. Slugging percentage is 600 and 271 ISO. So he's been crushing lefties this year. Tommy Malone has been very bad to righties this year, so I think Jerko can get to him, possibly with the home run tonight. So I like him at 4,100. Shortstop, gonna go Lindor. My main targets today are the Indians game and the Diamondbacks against Cologne. The Indians against Homer Bailey. Bailey finally went back to the Homer Bailey we all know and love in his last start. So he should continue to just be bad at this point of his career. Lindor playing in Cincinnati, which we all know is a great ballpark for home runs, a great ballpark for left-handed bats. And Lindor and Ramirez have some of the highest upsides on the entire slate today. So, sign me up for both of them. Lindor especially at 5,900 at a shortstop position that isn't great top to bottom. So much upside with the home runs. Also can steal you a base, and Homer Bailey is not very good at holding runners on. So I like Lindor a lot at 5,900. Been crushing it against both sides of the plate. And then the outfield, I'm really going to focus on the Arizona bats. I feel like they're going to be able to put up probably 3-4 home runs, hopefully against Cologne and in this game as a whole. So I like Pollock at 4,900. Lots and lots of power for Pollock. It's been a long time since he's hit a home run, so hopefully that'll change in this series. It is a great ballpark, a great temperature, although it's not supposed to be 100, it's supposed to be like in the 80s, so a little bit downgrade in terms of temperature as we've seen, but still just a great ballpark. It's supposed to be humid, so that should help the ball carry. And Pollock, lots and lots of power, as I mentioned, at 4,900. A good bet to take Cologne or the very bad bullpen deep in this game. And then I like Souza at only 4,400. Projected to hit 5th in the lineup. Souza has yet to really get going this year in terms of power. Last season, he did slug 30 home runs. I'm not sure a lot of people remember that, but he was a beast last season with the Rays. Got injured for a large part of this year, so he still has to get his timing down, and hopefully the bombs will come sooner than later. And once again, it's a perfect series for him. He has been better on the road. It's a small sample size, but maybe the humidor, just like it's been working for Paul Goldschmidt, it's an effect for Souza in Arizona. So he's been a very good hitter on the road this year. So hopefully that will continue today in Texas. So those are the plays we got today. Pay down for pitching once again. Pay out for the big bats. They will win you the big money, especially at this point of year where the weather is just so perfect for hitting. And then once we get into September, we got to go back to targeting some of the pitchers as the weather cools down. But the ball is just flying out of nearly every ballpark this year. So I love the bats today. So thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Drop a like if you enjoyed, and see you tomorrow.